Race to the Top was a competition. It was a challenge. They put a pot of $4.5 billion on the table, which is 0.1% of federal spend. And they said to governors, compete for it. And it was all voluntary. 48 governors convinced 48 state legislatures to defy their local control interests to raise high school standards. It had never been done before. 48 states, all right, Texas and South Carolina, but 48 states. Now, it made me think, well, could we do a competition to the governors to solve these other problems? What if we create a clean energy jobs race to the top as a challenge to the governors? I mean, we know the problems, right? First of all, we got more than $1.8 trillion being spent by the private sector in countries around the globe. And it used to be that the United States was #1, but you can see China has far surpassed us in private sector investments in clean energy. And of course, those investments all translate into jobs because other countries are adopting policy that makes sense for those clean energy businesses to locate there. So could we not do something in this country that would allow us to compete? What if there was a challenge to the governors, and I know my governors, and I know they would jump in. What if we had a challenge and the price of entry into the competition, like the Race to the Top for education, you had to enter the competition by raising your high school standards. What if the price to enter the competition were, say, what the president has put on the table as his goal of having a clean energy standard of 80% by 2030. In other words, for those of you not in the clean energy realm, that we get 80% of our energy from clean sources by the year 2030. He broadly defines clean. So you could say it includes renewables, it also includes natural gas, it might include nuclear, but make it a broad commitment as a nation to raise the standards. But if Congress won't do it, why not have every state do it? Why not distribute the policy generation to the states instead of just distributed generation of energy? Every single region of the country has something to offer. It's not a cookie cutter solution, and that's the beauty of it. For example, you could look at Iowa and Ohio. One of them could, those are the governors, Branstad and Kasich, they might say, well, we're going to make wind turbines and deploy them for wind. Well, you might look at the Sun Belt states, and they say, we're going to deploy solar, and maybe Jerry Brown says, we're going to make the solar panels instead of having them be made in China. Every region, I use these little icons, but it could be, you could pick the icons that would go in the appropriate areas. I mean, in the mountain states, you might look of the Northwest, they might have geothermal. In Texas, because Texas could do wind or solar, you might say they're going to find the grid solutions because we need to transport some of this renewable energy. In the, I used corn, but I meant really biomass because that was the only icon I could find that was really bad. But bottom line, taking waste from agriculture or wood waste and putting it into biofuels, you could have those states do that. You could have in the Northeast the place where they do energy efficiency really well. They could be the experts of that. You could have the Atlantic coast be offshore wind. You could have the state of Michigan be the place where the batteries for the electric vehicle, where vehicle 2.0 is made. Every single region has something to offer.